make sense. Like why there's so few believers on the firing line, while so many others sit the fence. But if you want to know where the Word of God stands, and believe it wants to use your feet and hands, it's time to take your faith out of the seats and into the streets, and come along with me. If you only look, then you will see on WCN-TV.
All right, I'm just got the word. I'm live. Sorry about that little hiccup at the beginning. My name is Michael Heath, and I am helping Rob Pugh, who is the publisher of Wisconsin Christian News, a wonderful Christian source of news and inspiration. It's been a print newspaper for about 2 decades, started by Rob as he began to press deeper into his Christian faith over 2 decades ago. And that was a little bit before the internet. So he did it on dead trees, on newsprint, and he still does. He's a little bit sad right now because of situations in his family life. He was not able to publish a newspaper in January. We're going to be talking about that next week on Wisconsin Christian News Live. You're not going to want to miss that show. Rob's been very busy in ministry, taking care of what's most important, which is his family. And we're all learning that in these darkening days of communism in the West. It's like a dark storm cloud came. We saw it over the horizon back at the beginning of 2020, and it's been coming toward us, and it's been getting darker and higher in the sky. And now that storm cloud of communism being forced on us from above, not from the federal government, but from even above that, from global oligarchs and rich forces with the United Nations, the WHO, the World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab. That cloud is now directly overhead, and it's obscured the sun. The sun that inspired Rob to start Wisconsin Christian News. Spencer, bring up WCN-TV.net and show that for just a minute, folks. You need to check out WCN-TV.net. There's a year's worth of archives on this show. You know, people of faith are waking up every single day now because the sun is so obscured by this thick, dark cloud of global communism, which is now over us. We're under it. It's not like it's coming to us. Not like we can see it coming toward us anymore, and there's still sunshine above us and shining on us and illuminating our minds. No, that's not the case anymore. We are under that cloud. We can't see the sun now. It's here. The global communism is obscuring all that's good, true, and beautiful. The government is most powerful at the national level, but it's even more powerful at the global level. And this concentration of power that we've allowed to congeal at the top of the world pyramid, so to speak, is now intent on its great reset, its new normal. They're using the virus. Anyway, I could keep going forever down this road, but WCNTV.net, you want to check that out if you're red-pilled and you're wanting to learn and grow quickly. You can also check out the website for Wisconsin Christian News. Throw that up, Spencer, and show that to the viewers. By the way, while you're watching this, you can come into the show. It's free. We encourage you to be a member of our studio audience, you just go to WCN-TV.net, WCN-TV.net, and click on that box there, and you can come in and ask questions, make points, and be a part of the show. So would love to have you do that, and would love to have you share the link. And that's what's going to make the difference. You know, we're in a war. I'm very excited today. I'm very, very blessed to have as my guest my son, my youngest son. I have 3 boys, and my youngest son's name is Jared, and I want to bring him in now. We're going to talk about this war, this third world war that we are fully engaged in now with Jared Heath. Jared, come on in, say hi to the folks. Really appreciate you on short notice becoming my guest. It's wonderful to have you.
Hello, sir. Hello, everybody.
All right. Yeah, this is Jared. How old are you now? You what, 32, 33?
32.
And that's nice. He's got a green screen there, and I like the tripod there that's in front of the green screen. That looks good. But hey, it works, you know. Alpha technology, So Alpha, what's that all about? I mean, it's kind of I've never heard of that word, Alpha.
Well, me and my brother came up with it and we liked it because it starts and ends with the same letter. So we thought that meant something. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But it stands for all of the tech. So our goal is to do a little bit of everything because, well, as you know, right, just to kind of roll into it, I've had, I think, two clients in the past month get kicked off of their credit card processing. And so now I have to know how to do credit card processing. And then we just got another strike today on another client's YouTube channel for medical misinformation. And so his channel is going to get deleted. And then we've got another client who their podcasts are getting deleted. So we have to do podcasting. And then I don't think I have a client who's gotten their website deleted quite yet. So we're working on that one.
So Jared, let's talk about that for a minute. This whole idea of censorship, everybody, it's on the tip of everybody's tongue. They're concerned about it. I believe that the effect of this is mostly to mute people of goodwill online, to discourage them from sharing the truth, from even thinking the truth, from even thinking thoughts that aren't approved by Facebook or Twitter. I think that, and I want you to comment on this. I mean, we could get into the technical side of it, the censorship, and what's could happen, whatever. But I think the whole reason for this is to cause people of goodwill who aren't very sophisticated to be afraid, and then they continue to shape their use of Facebook, especially, in such a way that they won't share a link to this video. They won't go on Facebook and be social in an honest way. They're being conditioned by this, and the social platforms, Google, Twitter, Facebook, they're doing this to instill fear and to keep people from talking to one another about what they're learning, about what they're thinking, especially if it runs against CNN or MSNBC or the Democratic Party's narrative. Am I off base on that?
No, absolutely. And like I could see the real effects of it just in one client we picked up last month. They were demonetized from YouTube. They were, they lost $10,000+ per month in revenue. I mean, what does that do, right? And then here we are 2 months later, 3 months later, and we've come up with some ways to get them back online. But they now talk about things like, well, you know what? I'm never going to do a show again. There you go. It's that simple. That's the money side. That's more the raw side. But then with what you're talking about with the information war, right? Alex Jones nailed it. Information war is, I mean, it may be worth thinking about, what the screen does and is. It is virtual reality. So it's not a real war. It's an information war. And the purpose of it is what you're saying is it's to discourage people from doing anything. It's to discourage you. And then also it's to encourage you to do evil and to believe evil things, enter pornography, right? I mean, there's candidate number one for that. And then for that's for men, right? And then not to let women off the hook. For women, enter number one evil thing they want you to do is have fake relationships on Facebook so that you don't have to have a relationship with your husband. There you go. You get all your little feel goodies and everything from Facebook, and the guy gets all of his sex goodies from the Pornhub, and there you go. So now he's destroyed. Now the internet they've encouraged you to do evil, and then the whole time the media is telling you that you can't change anything, that you can't do anything, that you can't work together. And then they also, on Facebook, they isolate you, and the algorithms are pitting you against one another, right? Jamie, he's here. He's a guy here. He brought that to my attention. He's like, they not only do all what I'm talking about in a basic sense, then there's really smart algorithms that are now picking what you see on Facebook, and that shapes your reality, because that's a large percentage of your reality. So it's dangerous.
So you can, as I said at the beginning of the show, if you're watching us on one of the platforms that we're streaming live on right now, you can come into the show, become part of the studio audience. It's free. You just go to WCN-TV.net. I see that we've got someone in the studio audience, and I'm going to pause right here, and you don't have to feel like you have to ask a question or make a point, but I want to encourage you to do that. So Donna, you're in here. I don't want to put you on the spot. I'm going to pause. If you want to ask a question or make a point, you'll just need to unmute. And Jared, how does she unmute if she wants to?
Yeah, in the bottom center screen, you should see a white bar at the bottom, and then you can click on the little microphone. It should be a red microphone right in the bottom middle of your screen.
No pressure, Donna, but if you want to, anytime during the show, you can unmute.
I don't have any questions.
Oh, there you go. You know how to unmute. That's great. Donna, welcome. Let your friends know about the show. Share it. Really glad you took time to be on. God bless you. God bless you. So Jared, I'm actually encouraged by all of this, because I've been using the internet since it was invented to connect with people, but mostly to communicate professionally with people. That's why I never really got drawn into Facebook, because it never made much sense to me that these people would be my friends. I always felt like Facebook was a lie at the foundational level, because it created this impression that you can have 1,000. I guess they limit you to 5,000 friends. Nobody has. I talked to one preacher one time a while back. He said you're going to have about 6 friends in your lifetime. The average person is going to have about 6 friends. It takes a lot of different layers and factors and time and whatnot in order for a friend to develop. I mean, Facebook is basically an advertising platform, and it never made much sense to me. But what I'm hopeful about is that, and speak to this issue, Jared, there's a more fundamental internet that has existed since the beginning, since before Facebook. And that level of internet, I think of Reddit as one forum where that kind of conversation and that sort of socializing, if you will, takes place. And that internet leans conservative, especially with respect to privacy and with respect to understanding the essence of what Facebook is and Google is and Twitter is, which are basically platforms designed to manipulate you into giving you all your data, and then they sell it, and then they try to sell you products, but you're the product on these things. But there's a level of the internet that's been developing since before Facebook, since before Twitter, that is more potent, more powerful today than it's ever been, right? And it's doing great stuff. Speak to the whole GameStop issue. That's kind of a perfect illustration of what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so the internet started, I mean, in the social sense of the internet as forums and chat rooms, right? That's it. Usenet was one of the protocols, one of the first things that was internet-y, Usenet. And it's still around now, actually, for illegally downloading movies and stuff. But that's how people communicated. And that's still the essence, and we've talked about this before, that's still the essence of the internet. It's just words. It's still language, it's still computers run on language, and it's still just words. And that's one of the best ways to communicate with it is words online.
Mm-hmm.
And so this aspect of the internet is the lower level. It's more the core, the people who view it in a realistic way. And these people are very privacy focused. I wouldn't say they're almost anarchist in a sense, but they're very much for privacy. Some of these groups are like the Free Software Foundation. Anybody who's very open source heavy in their thinking is this way, and open source being, look, this software is developed by a community of people and it's free to use. It's not everybody can see the code, anybody can use it type of idea.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a lower level of the internet. And these guys are the ones that run all the servers. I mean, these guys are the ones that create the tools that make the internet work, are these people. They still communicate with email lists. That's how they talk. That's how they do it. They do email lists. And then old school IRC chat rooms,
So Jared, we have so much reason now, so much evidence to have hope for, you combine that with the recent result in the election, and you get 70 to 80 million Americans voting for Trump after 4 years of him going through hell on earth at the hands of the media and the Democratic Party and even his own party, a majority of his own party that was always sticking knives into his back. He accomplished many, many good things as president over 4 years. And against those headwinds, he achieved that result. Given the evidence of cheating, he probably won. That. I think he did win that election. So we're not without hope. We are, in fact, full of hope. You're in your early 30s. You are building a business. You're not afraid, right? You do, but speak to this issue, Jared. You're a Marine. You were 8 years in the Marines. So you've had to think thoughts that some other people haven't had to think about, dying or killing. And that gives you an advantage, doesn't it? People listening here, if you're Christians, death is just a doorway. We walk through a doorway to the rest of our life, into eternity. Speak to the issue of being afraid of death.
Yeah, well, there's a quote by an Orthodox Christian church father, what is it, St. John Climacus, and he talks about he who perfectly meditates on death will never sin. Point being, the judgment is coming for you. There is justice and there is judgment.
Judgment is coming for you if you don't share this link on Facebook with all of your friends and family. Go ahead.
Right. And so judgment, God is just, and therefore he must maintain his standard. And the standard, death, is one of the tests. It's actually, I was thinking about it the other day, death is really a benefit. Death and time both came out of the fall of man, the sin nature, are linked with sin nature. We wouldn't have known what time was, and we wouldn't have known what death was. It wouldn't have existed. And so therefore, because we sin, we now are given the gift of death, which is even until the last second before you die, you have an opportunity to repent. And death is like, it's that thing that everybody has tool available to them to sharpen their sword, so to speak. And so when you contemplate death and you think about death, it can help you to be a better person. because you're thinking about judgment and what's coming, and fear. You should fear God. You fear what I mean, he's not messing around, he's not this is a game with an eternal consequence.
Heaven or
So
hell, heaven or
right.
hell.
There's an
And
eternal consequence.
And,
So
and Jared, what do you think about this? I think that what the oligarchs, the communists have the ideologues, the Western ideologues who are running this war against humanity have done successfully is they've separated the idea of death from reality, from nature. We as humans are given, like you said there, an opportunity to think about our own death in such a way that we transform it into something that we don't have to be afraid of. Animals probably don't even, I mean, we have no evidence that animals think about death, right? Think about their own death. That's what sets us apart from the animals. We reason and we have language, but we have it so that we can face fears like the fear of death, and we can transform it into something that we don't have to be afraid of. And I think what the communist oligarchs have done is they've connected death, our own death, with fear. We're afraid. So then we have to fix our health. We have to wear the mask. We have to social distance. We have to lock ourselves down. Why? Because we're afraid of dying, which is a lie, right? It's a lie. It's definitely not Christianity. It's not even natural.
right. Well, right. It's not natural according to how we were created, right? Death is not a natural phenomenon in the sense of perfect humanity, how God created us. So, but yeah, I got nothing. I lost it.
That happens when you're doing something new. You're doing really excellently, though. Folks, thanks for tuning in. My name is Mike Heath, and I'm father to this handsome young bachelor. And his name's Jared Heath, and he spent 8 years in the Marine Corps. And I can never do a show or talk about Jared without telling my story about him in Damascus, Syria. And I want you to comment on that. At the bottom of the hour, we're going to go to a break, but we got about 7 or 8 minutes here. I want to talk about his experience in Syria. He was working for Obama, former president, as an embassy guard in Damascus, Syria. You were, Jared. And the Assad government had stirred up a mob, and the mob jumped the fence, got on the roof of the embassy, stole the American flag, and you were locked and loaded with your small detachment of Marines, and you guys had no sense of what their intentions were. You thought perhaps that they were going to storm the embassy, come through the doors, and kidnap or capture the ambassador who was in the building with you. And so you were locked and loaded and prepared to go play capture the flag on the streets of Damascus, Syria. And tell us what happened then.
Yeah, the situation was building up over the months when I first got there in the spring. It was during, I think, the Arab Spring, they called it, in that 2010, 2011 time period. And we had responded to a bunch of protests at that point, but they were small, like 10 people out front with signs, things like that. And the alarm goes off, and you go in and you lock the building down and you get ready regardless. It doesn't matter if there's one person or 50 or 1,000. And so this was the alarm goes off, and then we run in and we get geared up. We lock the building down, and then they climbed over the fences, and they started climbing over, and they started smashing in the bulletproof windows out front with 2x4s and things. And they also like throwing their shoes at you. So they were throwing shoes all over the place. And so we were in there, and then we were going to, me and my buddy Marshall, I still talk to him quite a bit on the phone, and we looked at each other, like me and him were down in the basement. We had our M16s, and we were geared up, and we kind of looked at each other and we're like, let's go, let's do this. And then my boss was like, wait. And we were going to go outside because they were on the roof at that point. And so just for some context, in an embassy, there's a place, it's called Post 1. And Post 1 is where all the cameras are. It's a Marine who runs Post 1 with some Department of State employees who kind of manage the security aspect from the Department of State side, and then there's the Marine side. It's kind of two separate but work together groups. They also have a lot cooler guns than we have. And they had like MP5s and stuff. And we're like, come on, man. And so he's got cameras all over the place. So he's looking and he's like radioing, they're on the roof. And so we all go up. We run up 3 stories. It was a 3-story building, kind of stairs right in the middle of the building all the way up. And we're at the door to the roof where the bad guys are, and there were 3 of us there. And then one of the RSOs with his cool MP5. And we were about to go out. Like, it was like, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. Everybody's all kind of pumped up, ready to go. I mean, and just for another, as a Marine and as an infantry Marine, you get trained. I mean, you get trained to kill people. That's your job. Your job is to kill people. So imagine if you're, a carpenter, and then you get trained to be a master carpenter, but then you have to be a garbage man most of the time. But they call you a carpenter. They tell you you're a carpenter, but you just have to be a garbage man. You're doing a garbage man. Yeah, no, you're a carpenter, but it's like, why am I emptying trash? Why is all that I do empty trash? And that's basically being a Marine, right? I mean, at this point, you're like, I'm trained to do all of this stuff, and I've never done it. And so you're kind of excited. You're like, do I have the balls to do this? And so anyway, so we're there, ready to go, loaded up. And then the ambassador said, nope, stand down. And so we stopped. We didn't go out. They took the flag. They ended up returning it a little bit later. And then we held up in the embassy for maybe like a week, just sitting in there, eating little plastic food and stuff. And we were kind of just waiting for them to burn the building down around us. But even later that day, so maybe a couple hours later, so we launched gas at them. So you'll see the CS gas go out and everything. And we launched gas outside, and everything quieted down. And then that night, there were riots all around, so we went up on the roof at night after we were pretty certain that they were all gone. And we were just kind of watching the riots happen down in Umayyad Square, or whatever it's called, just 2 or 3 blocks down. And they had the big water cannons and everything. So yeah, and I'm glad that the ambassador told us to stand down, in the sense of it would have been an international incident. We probably would have ended up in Syrian prison, and it would not have been great. And they probably would have burned the building down. So yeah, I got to do the commercial, I guess.
Yeah, a little bit of it, huh? Thank you for your service. And there's so many great American patriots like Jared who we need to thank God for. And this is a group of Americans that are extremely frustrated right now because they're aware of what I said at the top of the show, which is that we are now under a darkening and very threatening cloud of global communism. It's not like it's coming, it's here. It's with the installment of Joe Biden in the White House and Kamala Harris likely to become the new president anytime. We are in a very desperate way as a constitutional republic, because it's obvious that the elements of our constitutional republic are the important ones are being erased as we speak, with executive orders and more lockdowns and fences being installed around our capital, and the people being strategically forced away from their government. And the reason for that is so that the power can concentrate even more in fewer hands. And this is the most dangerous moment for the United States of America in its entire history right now. This is the most dangerous moment. If the people, Jared, don't choose to fight and push this back and cause this communist revolt to be put down, then we're headed for slavery. And so thank you for your service. It's the bottom of the hour. We're going to run a couple minutes of commercials here. Be sure to support those who support Rob Pugh's Wisconsin Christian News. When we come back, we've got a couple folks in the studio audience. If you're watching the live stream on Rumble or wherever we're YouTube, wherever we're streaming this, you can come on in, become a member of the studio audience by going to WCN-TV.net. We'd love to have you. If you have a question or want to make a comment, be thinking about it over the break. When we come back, we're going to continue our conversation with U.S. Marine Corps Sergeant Jared Heath. Don't go away.
Have you been looking for a trusted long-term storable food company? We have a solution for you. Simply Clean Foods is dedicated to providing the best quality food you can buy next to fresh from a farmer's market. Our line of resealable fruits, vegetables, and meats are suitable for everyday use, and you won't have to worry about throwing away valuable groceries ever again. Our food is completely GMO-free, and our stringent quality controls, plus testing for heavy metals, makes us unique in the storable foods market. Simply Clean Foods' primary focus is to bring clean food to people all around the world and change the way we look at freeze-dried food in our daily cooking. When you purchase from simplycleanfoods.net, not only will you be receiving high-quality food, but you will also be supporting veterans in need across the country and those who are affected by natural disasters. Right now, Amazon Prime members will receive fast 2-day shipping. Go to simplycleanfoods.net. That's simplycleanfoods.net. But do it today.
At the McClario firm, it all starts with family. We're here to serve you and your family, online or in person. Call today for a free consultation. The McClario firm, your law firm for life.
Start.
Pornography is a destructive force. It destroys individuals, families, and fuels the out-of-control demand for sex trafficking. 45% of Christian families say porn is a problem in their home, but why aren't churches and public schools talking about this? Fear. People who view porn think they're the only one. It's a lie. Statistically, more people view porn than who do not and struggle in silence. www.lynnfrederick.com. You can find the book I wrote about my own battle with porn and the presentations that I do for churches and public schools. lynnfrederick.com.
Hey, welcome, Wisconsin Christian News Television. Remember to support those wonderful folks.
We lost your audio. There you go. Yep. No, something got unplugged or something.
Testing.
There you go.
Testing. Is it working now?
Yeah, it's good.
All right. Sorry about that. Problem with the audio. So we're back from the break. I was saying that remember to support those folks who we ran commercials for over the last couple of minutes. They make it possible for us to produce this live stream. And be sure to share this live stream with people who you think might appreciate the inspiration and the content. I'm actually coming to you from the great state of Maine. And this weekend, I was in Lincoln, Maine. And in Lincoln, Maine, which is way north, near Canada, I was mindful of the fact that there's a spot on the lake called Bible Point. And it's named Bible Point because that is a place where Theodore Roosevelt in the late 19th century would go to read his Bible. And so it's been preserved for the public, and you can go there. I've never been there yet, but I look forward to going there someday, because Theodore Roosevelt was America's last chief. He was a supremely patriotic American, very manly, and really, really insightful about the human person and about character. I'm going to play just a 2.5 minute video here, which is wonderful. I actually play this every morning to myself because it's so inspiring. And Spencer, go ahead and play that.
The poorest way to face life is to face it with a sneer. There are many men who feel a kind of twisted pride in cynicism. There are many who confine themselves to criticism of the way others do what they themselves dare not even attempt. There is no more unhealthy being, no man less worthy of respect than he who either really holds or feigns to hold an attitude of sneering disbelief toward all that is great and lofty, whether in achievement or in that noble effort which, even if it fails, comes to second achievement. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming. But who does actually strive to do the deeds? Who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who, at the best, knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who, at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat.
Whew. Isn't that powerful, huh? Isn't that powerful? Those cold and timid souls. That's what I think of when I think about the individuals who have allowed themselves to be spun up into these Antifa and BLM mobs that destroy, burn, and attack other people's property. In fact, the property of all of us in many cases, police stations, Democratic Party headquarters, statues, public buildings that are the property of the common man. They're the property of the citizen of the United States. These are the distillation, especially the statues, the distillation of our traditions and our history. And these cold and timid souls, without any sort of remorse or thought or respect for human reason, destroy these things. And we have, Jared, you made an interesting comment to me. I'd like you to develop it. On January 6th, your mother and I were in Washington, D.C. for the, quote, insurrection. And you proceeded to the Capitol building, and you walked up the steps and you went to the front door of the Capitol. You did not go in, but you commented to me and said that in comparison to your service in Iraq, 2 tours in Iraq as a United States Marine, service in Finland, service in Syria, and service in Cuba as a soldier, you said that moment for you, when you were standing there as a confirmed domestic terrorist, to quote Nancy Pelosi, you knew that you were doing the most patriotic thing that you had ever done in your life. Now, there's got to be people watching this show who are thinking, what? How can that be? I mean, you were part of a effort to take over the government of the United States. Talk a little bit about it. I think that's connected. I think your sentiment there is connected to what Roosevelt's talking about in this man in the arena quote. You were in the arena. The Capitol building on that day was the arena.
Yeah, I mean, well, damn right we're trying to take over the government. I mean, what other alternatives do we have? You know, it's like our government is satanic. What do you want me to do? And so it was awesome. Everybody there was great, American, regular, working people.
But Jared, everybody watching this who watches CNN, MSNBC, or even Fox News has this word insurrection on the tip of their lips. They don't, you are the bad guy, the good guys.
Damn right it's an insurrection by the regular people against the oligarchs. Of course. Yeah, it's an insurrection. Yeah, sure. You know what I mean? Of course it is. The powers that be. See, the thing is, though, one of us is a hypocrite and one of us isn't. Because supposedly this country was founded to empower the regular people to have sovereignty and to be the authority to come from the people, the consent of the governed. If that's true, I'm right. If that's not true, they're right. Right? So
because your point is they're obviously not showing any respect for or interest in the consent of the governed when they celebrate the destruction of property and the collapse of cities like New York City and Portland, Oregon, the complete utter destruction of these places. On the one hand, the use of violence for political reasons to destroy other people's property on the one hand, and then this thing, which really, there's no way you can prove that the motivation of this group on January 6th was to destroy or take over, to violently destroy I mean, if they wanted to do that, they could have done it, right? The police stood down and everybody walked right into the Capitol building. But what was the most that happened? Some panes of glass got broken and somebody stole a podium, right?
Podiums are really important. It's the podium's lives that matter. Just so you know, podium lives matter.
And when you say the government is evil, I mean, why is it, Jared, that we still take so seriously a government that has spent my entire lifetime creating and then defending the right to kill babies in the womb, and creating and defending this right to all forms of sexuality outside of marriage? In fact, going so far as to create this fiction that they call marriage, which has nothing to do with marriage. It's the opposite of marriage, where two men or two women or whatever. Why would we take one syllable of a government like that, a government that allows that? Why would we take that seriously? Why?
Because it gives us an excuse not to do anything. That's why we take it seriously. I mean, right?
Boom.
It gives everybody an excuse not to do anything. That's why we eat it all up. That's why we're slaves. We're already slaves. I mean, we're already slaves. We act like it. So we already are. It's not like it's coming. What's coming next is they're going to kill the slaves. That's what's coming next. We already are slaves. Now they're going to kill us. How are they going to do it? They're going to starve you to death. How did they do it in Russia in the 1920s, the Bolshevik Revolution? Guess what? This road's been traveled down before.
China. It's Cultural Revolution.
Right. It's not new.
Vietnam. Yeah. It's not new. It's happened a lot in the hundreds of millions have been killed by their own governments. But Jared, it'll never happen here.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the message out of that. It's not the critic that counts, right? Here's my beef is with the people who just pontificate and say violence is evil, and say, they're just not willing to do anything at all just because of their own moral perfection. And it's like, you know what? Sometimes it's worth fighting for something. So yes, as a Christian, you are obligated to strive to be morally perfect. Yes, right? You repent, God forgives you, and you keep going, and you wage the spiritual war against your sins. What I don't understand is how come that has to be different than waging an actual war? If you live in a country that you care about preserving, and if you don't want everybody to starve to death, why do you care so much about your personal salvation more than everybody else around you? What's wrong with you? Maybe you should help these other people to just survive. What's helping your neighbor? Do you in the story of the Good Samaritan, right? What does he go over and does he say, "Oh, here, Jesus loves you. See you later"? Does he go over? No, does he even preach to the guy? He just goes over, he picks the guy up, takes him to the hotel, bandages him up, tells the hotel owner, "Look, take care of this dude. I'll be back later to settle up the bill." Cool. See you later. He doesn't. Who cares? Who cares about their salvation at that point? Just do the right thing.
Love your neighbor.
People. Love your neighbor.
Yeah.
And loving your neighbor can be, you know what? I'm going to try and maintain order around here somehow. And so you don't have to starve to death. And then that'll give you time to repent. You know, why don't we think like that? Like that'll give you more time before your death so that maybe you'll be able to turn your life around and not go to hell.
We don't even reach out or know or think about our physical neighbors anymore. We spend so much time on Facebook and on the screens, and that's obviously what's being pushed here with this scamdemic, is to further deepen the disconnect between us and our physical neighbors. The mask, for example, I call it the face diaper. I listened to a video this morning that brought tears to my eyes, talking about the effect of the mask on very young children. And the other thing that this commentator said, this mother of many young children, was that what she's finding now as she goes shopping and as she's around other people who are wearing these diapers is that she's averting their eyes. At the beginning, you would look at their eyes, your gaze would be up at eye level and you'd look at their eyes. You couldn't see their mouth, and it was very difficult to understand because they're speaking through that diaper. And but she said now, after a year of it, she's finding herself looking at the ground all the time and averting people's eyes. And the reason, and I'm finding myself doing the same thing, is because you're socially, it's already awkward because of the diaper. You can't see their mouth. A lot of communication happens with the whole face, with the expression, the smile, the frown, whatever it is. And 2/3 of the face is blocked by the diaper. And so communication becomes almost impossible. Real human communication becomes, let's just say, it becomes impossible. So she was pointing out that after a year of this, and now Fauci's talking about 2 masks, wear 2 masks. And now people like Pete Buttigieg are proudly going to the inauguration of Joe Biden wearing 2 masks. He and his partner.
Well, he's wearing it in the wrong spot. He needs to be wearing it around his butthole.
Yeah, there you go. So, so now it's my turn to the diaper is. Anyway, I want to pivot from this. I want to stop talking about that. I want to talk about what we can do, why we have hope. One of the reasons we have hope is because the fake book is losing. It seems like they're winning. It feels like they're winning because people are lazy. They won't get off of fake book, even though they know it's very toxic. But they also, Jared, don't know that there's alternatives. Let's talk about that for a minute. I started an alternative called michaelheath.social. It's free. It works like Facebook, michaelheath.social. You can go there and create an account right now, username, password, and you're on there, and it's like Facebook, and you can start connecting with people who are like-minded. And talk a little bit about this brand new technology that's emerging. You are providing the service to at least 2 clients at this point, CoachDaveLive.social and MichaelHeath.social. And while they're different names, the people who sign up can link with one another. Even though you're in different, you can link with one another. So talk with us a little bit about how the inventors on the internet are rebuilding the internet from the bottom up.
Well, they're actually, in a sense, they're kind of going backwards in a way. They're going back to the 90s, kind of, in the way the internet used to be. Everybody had their own server. All these colleges had their own servers, and they would talk to each other in the ways that they could figure out how to. So the new stuff that's coming out is using newer technology, but it's still, the idea is that you own your own data, right? So as banking collapses, you're going to want to own your own cash somehow. You're going to want to have your own assets as the financial collapse comes, right? You're going to want to be ready to have your own stuff. So as the data collapse is happening right now, Trump getting kicked off Twitter. I mean, that's ridiculous. The president of the United States was removed from Twitter. And not only that, he wasn't elected, even though he was elected, which is ridiculous. So the alternative is you own your data, you run your own website type of thing, you run your own social media platform that you have the moderation control over. You have the ability to delete posts, whatever, to keep people around, kick people out. It's your server, but that application is designed to talk to all the thousands of other social media servers too. So that's called the Fediverse. It's a method of communication. They use different protocols to talk to each other. So you can have your own server, but you're still very much part of a global community of people who can follow and talk to each other. So that's the next step with apps. So there's chat apps that are coming out like this. Matrix Chat is one of them, using a Matrix protocol. There's video. PeerTube is a video that YouTube alternative that's doing the same thing. You own it. You own it. You physically own it. You own your stuff. You run it out of a server out of your house. And the reason that it makes sense is because it's connected globally through a digital roadway system that everybody has agreed to drive on.
Yeah. So for example, Jared, with michaelheath.social, which, as I say, viewer, you can go to right now and you can create an account for free and you can come in, you can see what it's all about. I created my terms of service this morning. You know, everybody, whenever they join one of these platforms, you get this multiple, you know, you scroll to the bottom of the world and all kinds of legalese, and nobody reads it. And then you click accept, and then basically you become the product that these platforms will at some point sell. You know, they're going to keep all your data. They're going to crawl your data with an algorithm, and then they're going to monetize it. They're going to sell it to somebody. Well, I ain't never going to do that. So here's my terms of service. And this word, by the way, may offend you, but it is in the Bible. So number one, my terms of service: you're allowed to be an ass. And number two, don't be a criminal. And that's it. That's my terms of service. If you want to comment, if you want to use Michael Heath, I'm not going to throw you off. If you disagree with me, I want you to be on my platform. I want you to debate me. I want you to reason with me. I don't want your data. The only reason that I'm going to have your data is because I want it preserved for you, not for me. I'm not going to monetize it. And so, Jared, this new internet, it provides brand new power and opportunity for people, and it's affordable, right? I mean, we're not talking millions of dollars here to do this, right?
No, I mean, $10-20 a month, you can host your own server type of thing, depending on, if you have thousands of people on there, yeah, it changes the game a bit and you're going to pay some more, but then raise donations, I mean, to make this real to you, if you're watching this show, your church can have one called faithbaptistchurch.social. And then your town can have one called mountairy.social. And then the church down the street can have one called Church of the Nazarene.social. And this your business, the ice cream shop, can have one. And then all of them can connect together. They don't connect together at the level of the platform, right? It's not like the ice cream shop makes a deal with the church for them to come together. That's not how it works. It puts the power for connecting, and this is one of the most exciting aspects of this new internet. It puts the power for connecting, the opportunity for connecting at the level of the individual, doesn't it? Talk about that for a minute. Well, it's like cash, right? If you have cash in your wallet, you don't have to ask the bank to give it to somebody. You just go and give it to them. It's more like that. You have your wallet of data, and then you choose what to do with it. And you can put it out, and then you can have other people in your wallet, other people's cash in your wallet, they're in there. But you get to pick when and what you do with your data, when and what you do with your cash. You can burn your wallet for all you care and delete everything, whatever. It's up to you. That's the idea. But then, the risk is that you're now responsible for your data. You don't get to shove it off on Facebook and just complain about it and say, "Oh, Facebook's selling my data. Oh dear, that's too bad." And then you keep posting your dumb pictures and all of your family history and everything up there. And no, you're responsible. If things go wrong, it's your fault.
Spencer, go to JP on GameStop and go ahead and start that. Jared, I'm going to have you comment on this. We're only going to watch a few minutes. This is 9 minutes long, but we're only going to watch the first couple minutes, and then I'm going to ask Jared to talk a little bit about this GameStop controversy before we finish up at the top of the hour. Go ahead, Spencer.
Give that to our friends at Robinhood. Tell me you own one. Hi there, poor person. I'm here on Wall Street. Yeah, this is what a rich person looks like. Cool, huh? And I hope you can see me okay over all the piles of clutter you have in your trashy little home. I'm gonna take a minute from manipulating the markets and putting all my clients' money at risk to make me money at no risk while they think I'm serving them to talk to you. Everybody owes us at Wall Street an apology. I'll get to why in a minute. But first, I'm sure you've heard about what's happening with the Wall Street hedge funds shorting stocks like GameStop, a Reddit group called Wall Street Bets organizing a short squeeze, and the app Robinhood coming in to stand up for us at Wall Street in the face of the little guys trying to bully us. Now, you've probably been acting like you understand what's going on with all the shorting, squeezing, and controversy. But because I sit here on my Wall Street perch, I know you don't really understand it because you're not very intelligent. So I'm going to explain it to you. Now first, I'll be using words to explain it. Words are made up of letters which come from the alphabet. And I'll be saying them out loud because you probably don't know how to read either. So just do your best to follow along. The GameStop controversy began when hedge fund managers...
Pull that, you can stop, Spencer. Okay, so Jared, I mean, JP here has captured the reality of this issue, right? This is a battle between the obscenely rich and obscenely proud, and who's on the other side of this battle?
Well, it's the same thing as the insurrection in Washington, D.C., right? It's the same people. It's the same people who are, except it's the younger version of all those people. This is all the people who are creating things like Bitcoin and Monero and Litecoin and Ethereum. All these people who are creating all this stuff are also trying to get involved and say, look, we want to play too. What's this game you guys are playing up there? And the oligarchs think they're untouchable. And this is sort of a chink in their armor. We'll see what happens, but this is sort of a chink in their armor. Like these hedge funds, these billionaire hedge funds, they're supremely arrogant. And it's kind of like, I've been thinking about the quote with Braveheart in the movie Braveheart, where they win one battle and then he goes back to the politicians and they start quibbling with each other. And then he shakes his head and he turns around and Mel Gibson starts walking out. And they're like, where are you going? And he turns around and he says, you know, we've won one battle, but they'll come back. So we're gonna, you know, what is it? We're gonna take the fight to England. We'll bring the fight to England. We'll invade England on their own ground, you know. And that's what's happening right now. These Wall Street Bets guys are invading England right now. The hedge funds, the 2008 hedge funds, you know, they're trying to fight. This is like a direct continuation of the election fraud. I view it. It's just another arena. It's another arena that they're fighting in, right? The original politics through the fall, through all the fake politics and all the lies and the media and the manipulation. And now now the battle has moved on to finance. And that's it. And that's a huge underpinning of our economy. We're capitalist. So it's basically like religion. It's actually more important, far more important than religion, according to the regular people. They don't care about religion. They do care about money. And so this is a real battle, and it's a really good battle between David and Goliath in a sense.
And the jury's still out on who's going to win this. It looks like what you'd expect, the politicians and the people who have the power, they're coming down on the side of the hedge funds. But it's kind of like the Donald Trump phenomenon. That there's tens of millions of people who are coming to understand this, and they're on the side of these little guys, aren't they?
Yeah, there's lots of people, even rich people are anybody who does anything with their life, anybody who's actually trying to do anything, who's Elon Musk.
In the arena, right? The people who are in the arena. Yeah.
These people, they're actually trying. Mark Cuban, you know, he's kind of an asshole from what I've heard, but they're trying to these guys actually try and build companies and do stuff. And they're like, yeah, let these guys trade. This is what you guys do all the time to the rich people. And then so now you get a little bit of competition from the regular folk, and you got to shut them down. You got to do all kinds of illegal things, and it's just like the election. You know, they got to cheat, lie, cheat, and steal.
Oh man, this has been so good. We're out of time. I can't believe it. But let your friends know about this Wisconsin Christian News live streams every Wednesday at 3:00 in the afternoon. I really want to say thank you to my son. I had to call on him at the very last minute today because of changes with the show, and he dropped everything. He had something else he was going to do. Thank you, Jared, for doing that. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you, those of you who came into the studio audience. We're going to be back next week. We're going to be talking with Rob Pugh. He's going to be back with me. The two of us are going to do the show next week. We'll bring you up to speed on the publisher of Wisconsin Christian News and with WCN-TV.net. Bring you up to speed on what's been going on in his life in January and what his plans are for the immediate future. So you don't want to miss that. Share this with friends and family who you think could benefit from this perspective, this information. And what a blessing it is to have this mechanism to communicate. We're going to win, folks. We're going to win because we're able to do this. We're able to reason together about the truth. I don't believe that the enemy is going to be able to shut this off. We're going to win this war. There's going to be a lot of battles. We're going to lose some battles. We're going to win some battles. In the end, I think we're going to win this war. They are not going to achieve their goal of making us slaves under a global communist tyranny. So be sure to tune in next week. WCN-TV.net. Very easy to remember. And it'll be great to see you, and have a great week.